make some connections. We talk a little bit about trends and insights today, insights more than anything else. And then we get to share ideas and approaches. So the things that we wrestle with in our work lives and working with our teams is not unique to us. Just in case you were feeling that way, that we all go through it, all go through the struggles. And I find that when we have the opportunity to talk about these things and learn from each other, that it's really helpful. So this is meant to be an intimate group. It's meant to be a place where we can come and share these ideas. We do record it, but the only part that we share out is the part where I'm talking. So you don't have to worry about someone seeing you on camera where maybe you didn't think you were going to be seen, or anything that you share in the conversation being shared outside of this group. So with all the wonderful disclaimers there and the guidelines of what to expect, we will get started. I chose this topic of strategic simplicity probably because I needed to learn it too. So it's at the start of the year, so many of us have the opportunity to set new objectives. And what is it that we want to achieve for the year ahead? It's not unique to the first part of the year, but it is common for a lot of us. And maybe like many of you, I had the opportunity over the holidays to really reflect on what's important for Excellus partners, what I wanted to achieve personally for the upcoming year. And so I came into 2026 full of vim and vigor, full of great ambitions, and then found myself as we moved through that first month feeling a bit like this. And I operate my business on a 12-week year. So every 12 weeks is a beginning and an end of a year. And right now, I'm halfway through this first year. And at week 4, I realized that one of the objectives that I had set for myself and for the organization had this much progress on it. And that's a third into the year where I have that much progress. None. And it was Friday afternoon, which is the time where I usually do my strategic planning, checking in. Are we on track? Are we making progress? And it was like, gosh darn, this is not pleasant. I think I used another word, but this is not pleasant. There's no progress on this, and the primary fire starter on this is me, and there's no progress. So I made the really tough call to adjust that objective, which for me, as I sat here in this very room thinking about it, was like, that's failure. And I don't like that. I don't like something that I saw so clearly at the first of the year needing to be adjusted only 4 weeks in. And wrestled with that for a little while, took a walk, came back and said, no, I have to do it. Because the alternative is looking at something for the next 8 weeks in this 12-week year and going, yeah, not going to get there. And so I adjusted it, and I made it something that I could get started and hand off to my team. And I have to tell you, it felt really good. It was a great way to end a long week. It was a great way to end a Friday. And it was not, as much as that little voice inside had been saying that's about failure, having to adjust that, it was not. It was about meeting the reality of what I'm capable and what my team is capable of doing in a set time period. So I want to take today and just check in first to share that story, that We all run into these things. And then to check in to see where you are, if maybe you're feeling a little bit the same way. How are we going to get there? And we've just gotten started. So just give you a moment for reflection, just to think about what might be feeling like you're not making progress on, or that there are too many things to be pushing forward at once, too many different messages. Whatever it may be, just to hang on to that as we go through these next few slides, just to think about some ways to help gain some clarity and continue that motion forward. For a lot of us, self-included, this is what I was feeling on that Friday. This is, I'm sure, a beautiful piece of art, but to me, it represented, oh, I can see all those things out there, those objectives that I wanted to achieve. And I see all these other things that I would love to achieve as well. And they're related. But if I don't do something to stop this, which could be swirl or it could be spin, then none of it's going to come to bear. And so this may be true for you in your work life as a leader. It may also be true for your team. And so it would be a good idea to check in to see, if I'm feeling crowded, what do you think your team's feeling? They may still be feeling that same way and not expressing. So for a lot of times for us as leaders, what gets communicated is our observable behavior. So our team may be looking at us and going, well, what are they focused on? Because whatever they're focused on is what I need to be focused on. And if you're focused on 1,000 different things, guess where your team is? On 1,000 different things as well. And probably facing that same level of confusion. Is this important this week? Is this important? We were working on this last year. What happened to that? So how can we get clarity? One of the other things that I use in this 12-week year process are 3 objectives. So there are only 3 things that I'm focused on for this 12-week year. So replaying back to that Friday afternoon, it's only 3 things, Barbara. Only 3 things, and one of them you can make 0 progress on. Yeah. So what I do know is that having 3 creates real clarity for me. And I think it was really important to help me look at that and go, this needs to be adjusted, rather than just leaving it amongst a pool of other things that may not be getting the same level of traction that I would like for them to get. I chose this image because it gave us the 1, 2, 3. It also gives us a starting line. It gives us lanes to run in. And they're also somewhere out on the other side of this beautiful image is a finish line. And I like this as a way of thinking about what are those 3 things that are really going to move me and the organization and what I'm trying to achieve forward. What are those 3 things? Some of you have done some work with me privately, and you know that when we set objectives around our work together, it's no more than 3 things. And so the same with your work life, the same with what you're communicating to your team. And it's not that you don't achieve other things. Quite often, if you've done a great job with the vision and the mission or the purpose of your team, these 3 things will pick up many of the other things along the way. They'll get done just as a result of the clarity of focus that you have on these three things. So what we tend to do when we initiate this process of saying these are the three things that I'm going to focus on is we don't often take that time to think about what we already have in play and how we make these three things the very clear objectives that we're focused on. What we tend to do instead is that we add things. So we may have had something going on last year, a project that we were working on for whatever reason. We didn't get supplies, we didn't get the research done. It didn't quite get completed. It's still there, and someone on your team is still focused on it. Then we come into the new year, whether yours is 52 weeks or 12 weeks, but we come into that new year and it's okay. Here are our three priorities, three objectives for this time period, and we haven't cleaned up the other. So we do need to be careful that we're not just adding and not taking other things away. If something's not finished, it still needs to be finished. Maybe that becomes a priority for this year as well, or this time period. You just heard me use the word priorities. Actually, the word priority was priori. That's the root word, and it has always been singular. That was its origin, is singular. What is the priority? It's only in recent years that we've kind of taken over that word and said, oh, we can certainly have more than one priority, and it's become priorities. And the list just keeps expanding, right? From 1 to 2, 3, three's max, but we keep adding on. And that takes our focus away, and it also reduces clarity for the people that we lead. So how can we get really, really clear about what are the priorities? I'm going to give you the ability, yes, we can have more than one, but what are those for this year? And then finally, it muddles ownership. I couldn't think of a better word than muddle. I don't know, there's something out there, but without the clarity around what's important for this time frame, then the person that was working on this project that didn't get completed, well, where are they? Are they on to a new project? Are they still finishing up this one? Should that become a priority? And we often don't take the time, even in a team setting, to identify who clearly is the lead on this and who's contributing. And when we don't have that clarity, it also impedes decision-making, right? Well, I'm not the one I'm contributing, or am I the lead? And decisions don't get made and things don't fall into place. So we do need to, this is my beautiful stop sign here, we do need to stop and take a look at what we did have going on and then make a decision as to what we pull forward or what we need to take away in order to focus on things that are now priorities for us. When we stop and take things away, then that gives us the opportunity to think about, okay, what can we add? And I don't want to add a whole lot here. What I do want us to think about is how can we make sure that we stay focused on what we've decided is the focus. And this also, in a team setting, gives people the opportunity to speak up and say, you know, hey, I thought that project was a priority for us, right? So we want to have these quick, visible check-ins what I've instituted is on Friday, I create a list for the next week of the 3 most important things that I need to get accomplished. And then I share those on Monday with my team. These are the 3 things that I'm focused on for this week. And let's see, I am a little more than halfway through. You're thinking, oh, she's running close. It's Thursday. No, the other ones, I got the most important ones done. These other ones, the other 1.5 are going to be a little bit easier for me to get done. So I'm feeling good about it. Don't worry about me on Friday afternoon. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we need to have that clear ownership. So Leanna, who's joining us today, who helps me out, there were some very specific things that I gave her this week to focus on, which is part of a longer term objective. And she knows she has ownership on that. In fact, she just checked back in with me. Did you see that email? Yes, I did. I'll get right on that. So that's going to wrap up the bulk of my insights for today. This really was much more about insights and sharing, and hopefully it sparked something within you to think about, because that's really where I would like to take the conversation, is thinking about if you and your team could only succeed at 3 things. And I was generous here. So between now and June, what would they be? Don't expect everyone to operate on a 12-week year. But what could be those 3 things?